which I know you know, but it is my duty to remind. First is related to what you call syllabus. Okay, all the key terms in the syllabus. For example, they have mentioned pressure groups, so statutory and constitutional bodies, judiciary, role of civil services in democracy. The favorite NCERT of UPSC for polity is political theory, class 11th. ओके, प्रियम्बल, सोशल, इकोनॉमिक एंड पॉलिटिकल जस्टिस. सो की टर्म्स जो हैं उस पे एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत एनसीईआरटी है. इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल एनसीईआरटी दैट इज पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी. इन लास्ट 10 years at least 5 to 7 times UPSC has framed one question from that NCERT on previous answers written by the toppers. 60% of the topics are static, which is material definitely caters to the main stage of the examination. Okay.
Every journey begins with a dream, but dreams need direction. Without the right foundation, effort feels scattered, unclear, exhausting. That's where Vision IAS steps in, a structured GS foundation built to guide every step of your preparation. From admission to mentorship, every resource you need is here, under one foundation. And when the day arrives, your dream is no longer just a dream, it's your reality. Vision IAS GS Foundation course, your first step towards success.
Good afternoon, all of you. You had exhaustive session. This is the third session. Okay. So my name is Amil. Okay. So with respect to polity, we'll have discussion. So most of you are already preparing, or you are just started to prepare? Started to prepare. Okay. So I am sure you know about the basic aspect, although I'll be largely concentrating on polity, but predominantly certain basics have to be understood. First thing is, which I know you know, but it is my duty to remind. First is related to what you call syllabus. Okay. So always remember कि with respect to syllabus, the UPSC syllabus in the prelim stage of the examination, okay, which I often say that in prelims, UPSC has not given a very detailed syllabus. They have just given an indicative syllabus that what you call, you have Indian Constitution, Panchayati Raj, governance, rights issue, etc. So prelims mein, but with the experience and all those things, we try to sketch a boundary. But in main stage of the examination, the syllabus is very exhaustive and precise, and UPSC has been magnanimous, comprehensive in detailing out the syllabus. Whoever frames the question paper, he has a hard copy of syllabus before him. And consistently over the years, you can find that the key terms that are mentioned in the syllabus are directly located in the question paper. So syllabus remains paramount importance. So what are the basic areas where you need to concentrate? Any serious aspirant, any diligent aspirant must be conscious about the syllabus, especially in the main stage of the examination. Second thing is that you should not memorize the syllabus, because if I give you a book on cricket and ask you to learn playing cricket after a week, you cannot become a cricketer by memorizing a book on cricket. Okay, You will only learn cricket if you play cricket. So syllabus is not meant to be memorized, but over the period of time, you will see the syllabus so many times that a serious and a diligent aspirant will become aware of the syllabus, conscious of the syllabus, and the moment he reads anything in any kind of literature, be it a static textbook or an independent news analysis or any such thing, you will easily locate that, okay, if I'm talking about finance commission, so where is it in the syllabus? So undoubtedly, every serious aspirant who has a chance of qualifying will be very much thorough with the syllabus. And it will take time. You don't need to sit down and memorize the syllabus. It will take 8 to 9, 10 months when you gradually go through the syllabus every now and then, time and again. And then you see that, then you will be familiar. Syllabus is like your locality. When you once came to New Delhi or any new locality, initially you knew only one lane. But gradually you took one small lane and you reached your destination. Gradually you thought, oh, there is another lane through which I can reach the destination. So with 1 year you became, or 2 to 3 months, you become very familiar with the locality. Syllabus, if you will sit down and memorize, it is not a diligent move. But yes, seeing it time and again and linking it with what you call the type of questions that have been asked by the UPSC in previous years. So undoubtedly, that is the most important thing that every diligent aspirant should do. Second, all the key terms in the syllabus. For example, they have mentioned pressure groups, so statutory and constitutional bodies, judiciary, role of civil services in democracy, e-governance, citizen charter, self-help groups. Every single term that is mentioned in the syllabus before the examination, you should be thorough ki this I have covered, because they are not recommending any textbook. They're not recommending any textbook, and the polity as a subject is very dynamic in nature. Although it is not relatively tough compared to other, it is not, but very, very dynamic, okay? Because geography and you have history where, you know, there a large part of it is static other than environment, which is more of interdisciplinary. But in polity, every single day, things are happening, and most importantly, you see the kind of issues that persistently appear before us, and they are located in the question paper also. So for me, if you will ask, I would strongly say that every serious aspirant should be thorough with the syllabus. Every serious aspirant should be thorough with the syllabus. And what you call, so better get a hard copy of the syllabus, either paste at the workstation where you study, or you just keep it by the side. Although it is also important to note that things are too much interdisciplinary. Okay, for example, what you and syllabus has been defined, crafted in a very scientific way. It's not that they have placed everything at one place. For example, what is the single most important factor that affects history of India, any country? The single most important factor that affects the history of a country is its geography. Maybe if India was in South America, then the history would have been entirely different. If India was in Pacific, the history would have been entirely different. So what affects history the most? Geography. Geography affects history the most. People came from various parts. So what is important? Ki history and geography has been placed under one bracket. That is GS paper 1. And most of the issues that we are facing today, for example, gender discrimination or caste-based discrimination, most of the issues have their connotation in history. So society has been placed in paper 1. So you have history, geography and society. Polity, so political system, but as a civil servant, what will you do? As a civil, what is government? The set of people who have the authority to govern. What they do is governance. The social, economic, political, cultural and decisions which are taken by the government is governance, which you will study in governance. So political system, the polity part as well as governance has been placed in paper 2. One of the principal mandate of the state, undoubtedly the biggest mandate of the state, is to maintain the sovereignty and integrity of India. Welfarism, secularism, federalism, rule of law, social justice, economic justice, political justice, everything comes secondary. The principal mandate of the state is to maintain sovereignty and integrity of India. After that, you have so many things the Constitution of India speaks about. So as a civil servant, you will be exercising governance, and one of your goals would be social justice. One of your goals would be social justice. There are zillions of schemes and there are canvas of what you call steps which the government is taking to promote social justice, from Ayushman Bharat, so many things. Okay, so social justice has been placed under paper 2. GS paper 2. So you have polity, you have governance, you have social justice, and international relations best fits here. So the syllabus has been so drafted that things which are related to each other, they have tried to put under one bracket, and there is interdisciplinary element. I can give many examples. For example, in 2021 means they asked a question about the 14th Finance Commission, okay, which they asked in GS paper 3 economics. But without a shadow of doubt, 14th Finance Commission is also taught in polity GS paper 2, Article 280 of the Constitution and the functions of Finance Commission, and Article 281, the President shall cause to be laid the reports of Finance Commission along with memorandum of action taken before both the houses of Parliament. So it is in paper 2 as well as paper 3. For example, when we talk about budget, Article 112 of the Constitution, annual financial statement, then 113, then you have 109 and 1010, money bill, 265, no tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of law, 266, 279A, GST Council. So a lot of financial aspects, 268, the tax, certain kind of tax which are levied by the center but collected, appropriated by the states. Okay, then Consolidated Fund of India. So a lot of financial aspects is also there in the Constitution. So they may, budget say they may ask in paper 3 as well as paper 2. The political aspect of budget, the articles of the Constitution, Department of Economic Affairs prepares the budget, how many departments are there in Ministry of Finance, what is the principal mandate of the budget, what is the constitutional requirement of the budget, this you will find in paper 2. But what was the budget, Fiscal Responsibility, Budget Management Act, what are the steps taken by the government, why their fiscal deficit is rising, what is current account deficit, what is the impact of what you call stimulation or reverse repo or repo repurchase rate of the RBI on banking loans or fiscal stimulus. So they will be in paper 3. So actually you cannot dissect the syllabus in such a way that they are not related. Social justice also impacts society. So paper 2 and paper 1 is also related. So one thing that is absolutely clear for a serious aspirant, that he will be absolutely thorough with the syllabus, not on day one. Not on day one. Over the period of time, it is like you know the locality, you are familiar with the locality, you can turn lanes. So you must be familiar with the syllabus in the same way. Second important thing which I often say, and I can't change this because the very fundamentals never change. We eat from mouth, we hear from ears, okay, we smell from nose, fundamentals cannot change. Second most important thing is NCERTs, okay. So NCERT mein in polity, you know there are 4 NCERTs, one is Indian Constitution at work, other is political theory. Political theory NCERT mein, you will find the concepts, not the concept of Rousseau, Locke or John Stuart Mill or what Communist Manifesto or Karl Marx or Frederick Engels, wo sab nahi, basic. The favorite NCERT of UPSC for polity is political theory, class 11th. Okay, what do you mean by justice? What do you mean by equality? What do you mean by secularism? What do you mean by welfareism? What do you mean by liberty? What do you mean by fraternity? Key terms that you will find in the preamble: social, economic and political justice, liberty of thought expression, belief, faith, worship, justice, social, economic and political, equality of status and opportunity. So key terms जो हैं उस पे एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत NCERT है. It's a beautiful NCERT, that is political theory. In last 10 years, at least 5 to 7 times UPSC has framed one question from that NCERT. There is another NCERT. What was the entire process of making of Constitution? The founding mothers in the Constituent Assembly, what kind of India they wanted to build? Okay, so Indian Constitution at work. So 2 NCERTs are brutally important. Okay, now let me add something about NCERT. See, most of the questions that are going on in your mind, let me honestly tell you, with all humility, after teaching 80-90,000 students, we understand what kind of questions are going on in your mind, and most of the cases, 90-95% of the cases, I ask them to wait, because by the end of the lecture, most of the questions that are going on in their mind will be automatically answered, because some or the other predecessor must have asked that question. Okay, so in that particular way, if you see, what is so special about NCERT? First, there is no alternative to NCERT. Second, NCERT cannot be replaced by any book. Okay, whatever fundamental text that you are going through, Lakshmikanth or Vision IS printed material, that is there, but that cannot replace NCERT. Okay, NCERT, when you will read NCERT, all of us have come from school. You have also come from school some point of time. I also went to school. So there will be an inner feeling that I know these things. And it is absolutely cumbersome and boring to read something which you already know. That requires a lot of patience and what you call a lot of fight with the boredom. Okay, so NCERTs are special because when you read, there will be an inner feeling that I know this. But UPSC always has this habit to trap you in NCERT and be very confident. UPSC loves trapping you in NCERT. So basic facts. For example, they asked a question, a very basic question. What is the western and eastern end of India? Which they lifted from class 11 physical geography NCERT directly. So every year they trap students by asking something from NCERT, which students out of confidence leave that, but gradually they find themselves in the corner in the examination hall. So other than those play boxes and all that, let's play and all those things you can avoid. Otherwise, first thing should be that NCERT should be covered very, very diligently. That is, or if there is an inner feeling that I already know, no matter what, you will cover the NCERTs because they are foundation. And I'm not saying that most of the questions in mains would be covered from NCERT. It would be wrong to say that, but in the prelim stage of the examination and writing the standard what you call definitions and all, which we take from NCERT. So it serves as a foundation, it serves as a base, but itself is not enough. Now there are 4 NCERTs, 2 I talked about, Indian Constitution at Work and Political Theory. These are the most important NCERTs. I'm sure most of you hear about them quite often. 2 NCERTs are like predecessors. If you want, you can do. One is Democratic Politics Part 1 and Democratic Politics Part 2. These are the 4 NCERTs. Okay. Next important thing, that Vision IAS material, Lakshmikanth. Now let me tell you about Lakshmikanth. Okay, Lakshmikanth, as I always say, Lakshmikanth is, first of all, it is not an what you call academic work. Please understand this, that when you write your exam for your college exams, just before the exam, do you study the standard textbook or you study the guide or the notes just before the exam? So throughout the year, they ask you to read the standard textbook, which many students avoid. But before the exam, nobody reads the standard textbook. They will go through the guides or the notes. So first of all, you understand that Lakshmikanth is not an academic work where some excellent academic, undoubtedly it is the best notes compiled for humankind on Indian polity. What they have done, whatever bodies are there in the constitution, for example, Article 338 National Commission for Scheduled Caste, 338A Scheduled Tribe, 338B Backward Classes, yeah, Article 280 Finance Commission, 324 Election Commission of India, 350B Special Officer for Linguistic Minorities. Har body ka, what is the function, what is the composition, and what are the background. Usi tarah fundamental rights, basic aspects. So if you want to have a very good understanding of the constitution, Lakshmikanth undoubtedly will do justice. It looks very voluminous, but it is not that bulky or voluminous. Most of the topics are repeated. Jaise what is part 5 for the center is part 6 for the state. So 90% of the parliament will match with state legislature. Most of the time National Human Rights Commission will match with State's Human Rights Commission. Union Finance Commission will match with State Finance Commission. So utna bulky lagta hai, par wo hai nahi. It is not that bulky. For it will give you a very solid foundation. Undoubtedly, if you have to have an understanding of the Constitution of India, especially the factual matrix of it, which you will be able to understand from. But Lakshmikanth, one, it will not help you in what you call current affairs. Of course, it's a textbook, static book. Second, most importantly, regarding concepts, here Lakshmikanth will not be doing much justice. UPSC is asking a question. When Sabrimala judgments came pronounced by the Supreme Court, UPSC asked a question, do you think our cultural practices are being challenged in the name of secularism? Do you think our cultural practices are being challenged in the name of secularism? What France can learn from Indian secularism? How global old age population is being affected by the globalization? Questions which are dynamic in nature, which force you to think right there. So the critical analysis part is missing. Undoubtedly, it's a very good textbook, but from the mains perspective, it will not be able to do justice when so many questions are coming which are truly dynamic in nature. What was the recommendation of 14th Finance Commission? How do you think CBI and Enforcement Directorate has affected the relationship between center and state? Book will give you what is CBI and what is ED, how the functioning of CBI and ED impacts the impacts the center-state relations, that is something which is dynamic in nature. Book will give you that finance commission ke ye function hai. UPSC is asking question that how finance commission has affected the relationship between center and state. Book will give you a basic fact that right to privacy is a part of Article 21. UPSC asked the question how use of DNA technology in determining paternity dispute is infringing upon right to privacy. बुक में दिया है राइट टू प्रिवेसी इज अ पार्ट ऑफ आर्टिकल 21. यूपीएससी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा हाउ डीएनए टेक्नोलॉजी इन डिटरमाइनिंग द पैटर्निटी डिस्प्यूट इन्फ्रिंजेस अपॉन राइट टू प्रिवेसी, हाउ डज दैट बैलेंस राइट टू प्रिवेसी. सो क्वेश्चंस व्हिच आर डायनामिक इन नेचर ऑलवेज अंडरस्टैंड दैट दे वांट पीपल हु कैन थिंक. How can they just ask a factual question? Then what will be the analytical thing would not be tested. So Lakshmikanth is okay, fine. We have visionized material, matlab, what you call with respect to that. Okay, so that is also from conceptual aspect, from mains aspect, we have prepared the same, not because I'm speaking here, honestly saying, okay. So Lakshmikanth, you are doing, but from mains perspective, you need to be a bit more cautious, okay. So visionized material or any comprehensive thing. Next is, see, current affairs by Vision IS. There is PT 365, there is Mains 365 and monthly current affairs. I don't even need to say anybody, most of the students who have prepared from any institute, anywhere in the country, any geographical location, you hear the interviews of toppers or anybody. They will always mention about PT 365 and Mains 365. It is almost standard and benchmark for the industry. You open, if you will hear 1000 people, 1000 mein 990 would say at some point of time either they refer to PT 365, Mains 365, current affairs or something like, or majority of them. Undoubtedly current affairs material prepared is excellent, but it cannot replace newspaper. Okay, I cannot give you cashew nuts as a main course meal and replacing the main course meal. So main course meal can be supplemented with cashew nuts or something, but you cannot replace newspaper. So newspaper is of paramount importance. I don't want to venture into the debate whether Indian Express or the Hindu. Okay, both of them are good. Hindu is more of an academic paper. You know what is the Hindu newspaper is that they will not add anything. They will not. Hindu ki khubi kya hai? Hindu is a costly paper relatively compared to all the newspapers. Per day cost is high. It is relatively less voluminous. Costly bhi hai aur patla bhi hai. So on a lighter note, if you will sell, you will not get much money. Why? Because Hindu is purely an academic paper. Matlab, some people find it extremely interesting. Jaise I have a habit. Any paper you give me on earth, it is like a biological DNA internally. I will not be happy or will not be able to sleep well unless I have read. Matlab, if I am reading, I would go for Hindu. Reason is कि Hindu में first thing is कि they don't write anything extra. Pure academic paper hai. Whatever on earth happens, they will never increase the font. Even India wins the World Cup, they will keep it very simple. They do not exaggerate the news. कितनी भी बड़ी न्यूज आएगी, they will give in the corner. So very, very academic newspaper, nothing extra is written, no flamboyance, no page 3, nothing. Ekdam, I jokingly say that European and Asian plates are logged like this. Even if European and Asian plates separate, Hindu will give in the corner. Eurasian separates. Getting my point? India, China, no more close. इस तरह करके corner में they will give. It is purely an academic paper. There is no place for nonsense. Everything that is academic, no what you call flamboyant statements that this party won the election and all. Academic paper hai. Indian Express is also doing good, but yes, it is relatively for a larger crowd. Hindu most of the time is for larger crowd as well as predominantly for any person who is more into preparation of any exam as well as more into some basic aspects of the news. Sometimes Hindu articles are a bit more critical with the government. See, you have to strike a fine balance and know what is to be written, what is not to be written, because the Constitution of India gives us enough space to be an activist. Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech and expression. Article 19(1)(b), right to assemble peaceably without arms. Article 19(1)(c), right to form an association, union or cooperative. Article 19(1)(d), right to move freely throughout the territory of India. You have enough space to be an activist, but you cannot be an activist and civil servant at the same time. You cannot be an activist and civil servant at the same time. For that, government is not hiring you. So while reading Hindu, thoda sa you should be conscious that sometimes the articles are relatively more critical of the government. You must be intelligent to differentiate between what you need to pick and what you Don't need to pick. So I would strongly recommend that Hindu, see, there is no alternative to newspaper. I'll share, let me just show you. This year there was a question, preemptive pardon. इस साल एक question आया mains में, preemptive pardon. You go and open any material which is conventionally followed for UPSC. Any material which is conventionally followed for UPSC, just go and check. You will not find a single material which has a mention of preemptive pardon. Now you look over here. Just I'll show you. There was an article in Hindu in January 2025 where Joseph Biden, the outgoing president of the United States before Donald John Trump took over, he issued certain preemptive pardon. So this question UPSC has lifted. This question UPSC has lifted directly from the okay. Hindu mein there was a news item, Joseph Biden has issued preemptive pardon. What are they? So this question was lifted from the news पेपर. किसी में आप जाके लक्ष्मीकांत ओपन कीजिए, कोई भी स्टैटिक ओपन कीजिए, यू विल नॉट फाइंड द मेंशन ऑफ what you call preemptive pardon. So ऐसे बहुत से questions हैं which UPSC is lifting from news paper. So there cannot be an alternative to newspaper. Any undoubtedly current affairs is best, okay, but that will only supplement after you have read the newspaper. Since I've already opened the internet, few more sources I would say. Ek source you can source, so I have said syllabus, NCERT को it is foundation, you cannot replace that. 4 NCERT तो you need to cover. Then one standard source, either visionized material or M. Lakshmikanth. Integrate that with current affairs. There are few more sources, जैसे एक बहुत famous source है PRS India. Okay. PRS India तो most of you must have heard about this. जितनी भी bills वगैरह आती है उसके लिए ये best website मानी जाती है PRS India. For all the bills that are introduced in the parliament, which bills are pending, all such things के लिए ये best website है. Okay. So this is Supreme Court judgments. Although see in UPSC they will not be asking you judgments by name. Very rarely you will see UPSC ask the judgment what was the judgment of Supreme Court in IR Coel Ho case. So very rarely you will see UPSC mentioning the name of a case in the question paper. What they will do, they will mention right to privacy and expects you to write KS Puttaswamy judgment. They will mention doctrine of basic structure and expects you to write Keshwananda Bharti. They will mention any such thing, the right to healthy environment, and expects you to write MC Mehta. They will mention about liberty and speedy trial and expects you to write Hussain Ara Khatun versus State of Bihar. So they will talk about right to die with dignity and expects you to write common cause versus Union of India. Directly वो judgment नहीं पूछते हैं, वो topic पूछते हैं and they expects you to know the judgment. So when we have what you call during our law days, law war mein to we used to memorize a lot of cases, but in UPSC cases are important. We exhaustively cover so many cases in the class, but you have to be selective over here. We try to be selective, and most importantly cases direct nahi पूछेंगे, they expects you to write. So there are two websites predominantly. अब तो Supreme Court themselves has started from last year or last year. पहले there is, जैसे यहाँ पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट समरी करेंगे तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट themselves has started लैंडमार्क जजमेंट्स. सेंटर फॉर रिसर्च एंड प्लानिंग है सुप्रीम कोर्ट का, उसमें देर इज लैंडमार्क जजमेंट समरीज बहुत ही ब्रीफली. फॉर एग्जाम्पल सोशलिस्ट और सेक्युलर वर्ड में कोई बात बहुत ब्रीफली इन 4-5 पैराग्राफ्स, व्हाट वाज द जजमेंट, व्हाट वाज द डिसीजन, सेंटर फॉर रिसर्च एंड प्लानिंग सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया. इसे आपको मिल जाएगा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मैटर्स पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्या क्या जजमेंट दिया है. देर इज अ सेंटर फॉर रिसर्च एंड प्लानिंग बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट इटसेल्फ. सो एक तो ये हो गया. दूसरा देर इज वन वेबसाइट. ऐसे तो बार एंड बेंच लाइव लॉ वगैरह भी है, विच वी इफ यू हैव इंटरेस्ट इन लॉ यू नीड टू you would enjoy them, but that is not required for UPSC general studies, which is basic, so it will be waste of time. And you know very well that most of the people who qualify only qualify, one of the biggest reason why they qualify, that they don't know too much. Because if they know too much, I can write down with my blood that they will not qualify, they will be engrossed in these facts. The very art of not knowing what is not required is also one of the prerequisite to qualify for civil services. We are human beings by nature. Two people are talking, it has nothing to do with you, but still if you will not get to know that, there will be an inquisitiveness. If you'll write in the examination hall, there is an interesting story about a man called Suresh in a village, and don't write anything, examiner will die. He will go and share with his family ki I don't know what he wanted to write, because human beings are inquisitive by nature. Here you will see engineers, I see lakhs of, literally 80-90,000 students in the class, 8, 9, 10 years, say. So most of the time you see engineers have this habit, which I see, ki rather than, for example, a person from humanities background, if he will buy a book, which I often say, there is an inner quest that I have spent 800, 900 rupees, valuable rupee of my father, that I need to cover the book word by word. An engineer literally would come and he will divide the book into 5 parts, ask 5 of his friends to prepare synopsis, they will exchange and they will write 10 times a better answer than you. So it is not about the hard work only, it is about the smart work. And knowing what is not to, one of our very senior person, he is no more, he used to say that it is more important to know what not to study rather than what to study, which you conventionally hear. So we have a pinworm within us, we want to know everything. The quest of knowing more is too humane, but to kill that spirit and know only what is required is what is the master of doing. So many scholars I meet every day from JNU, Delhi University, prominent universities, come along with me, thousands of scholars who are master over the subject, but they have not qualified. Here you need to be precise, you need to be assassinator, you need to be butcher. You get the question, acknowledge the demand of the question, have your own framework, write an answer and get best of the marks, rather than being a scholar. Otherwise there were so many scholars who are sitting and talking and giving information about various subjects, but they have not qualified. So it is very, very important. Ab jaise live law or bar and bench are also websites, but live law, bar and bench mein, from GS perspective, it is not required. Unless you have law as an optional, then you can go. So judgment ke liye to bhai, I would say Supreme Court judgment summaries. एक और website है which is largely quoted by the scholars ज़्यादा इसको quote करते हैं, SC Observer. Okay, इसमें कोई भी judgment है, for example, जैसे all of you know about right to privacy. Okay, right to privacy, SC Observer. तो इसमें what they will do कि भाई this is the name of the case, this was, if it is pending, यहाँ पे it is written pending, यहाँ पे लिखा रहेगा pending. What was the judgment? Very briefly, what was the legal question and what was the judgment delivered by Supreme Court? So you can go to SC Observer. Previously we used to refer SC Observer a lot, but now Supreme Court themselves have a judgment summary. Okay, so I would say you can go to SC Observer and you have what you call Supreme Court judgment summaries. Okay, then we have Syllabus, NCERT, up 2 important things. One, previous year's question paper. If you will ask me what are the 2 most important ingredients, I'm not going to comment on philosophical aspect that work hard, get up early in the morning. I don't like saying these things because already every day you get that dose, okay, from your home, okay, that rickshaw wala's son qualified and all those things. Okay, so I don't want to, you know, all of you are wise, all of you are diligent, you know very well that if you'll work hard you will qualify. If you'll not work hard, this is going to be a tough thing. Those who are interested, they will themselves take, so I don't. But yes, there is one thing which I would always say, if there is an art of qualifying, there are 2 things which are exceptionally important other than hard work, dedication, perseverance, consistency, which as a word you hear every day. First is going through the demand of the examination, that most importantly in the minimum time you should know what is required to be done. And second thing, going through the answer scripts of the toppers, writing good answers. Believe me, top people who have qualified with exceptional marks, privately as well as openly, they admit that most of them learned from their seniors. Most of them learn from their seniors. I feel that you should do a PhD on previous answers written by the toppers. You will get your framework, 60% of the topics are static. Only 40% is dynamic. For example, if we talk about fundamental rights, okay, most of the fundamental rights, you will only build your edifice, you will only build your mahal, the what you call palace, only if you have a solid foundation. Article 12 is definition of state is not changing. 13 pre and post constitutional law is not changing. 14 equality before law and equal protection of laws is not changing. 15 clause 1 and 16 public employment and 17 untouchability and 18 abolition of titles or 19 freedom of speech and all, and 20 that what you call criminal laws shall not be retrospectively applied, 21 right to life, ये सब वही है. So most of the जैसे federalism है, all of you sitting in the class know that sometimes there is an issue between center and state. तो जो बेसिक एस्पेक्ट है, व्हाट इज द लेजिस्लेटिव रिलेशन बिटवीन सेंटर एंड स्टेट, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिलेशन, फाइनेंशियल रिलेशन, ये यू शुड नो. अब उसमें चेंज हो जाता है, कभी सीबीआई इज इन न्यूज, कभी ईडी इज इन न्यूज, कभी गवर्नर इज इन न्यूज, कभी व्हाट यू कॉल एनी फाइनेंस कमीशन इज इन न्यूज, कभी प्रेसिडेंट रूल इज इन न्यूज. ये सब चेंज हो रहा है, ओके, पर बेसिक है. So you should do a PhD on the answer scripts written by the toppers, especially the serious ones, which is easily available on Vision IAS website. Usse you will, nothing is going to help you more, matlab it is going to be brutally productive. One, you will know the art of writing an answer. Second, on most of the topics, already they have written an answer. Most of the topics. So most of the topics you will get the ready reckoner points, okay, and you will learn the art of writing answer, because two things which are of paramount importance other than hard work, concentration and all, which you know, that is understanding the demand of questions so that you don't waste your time. This is the most important things. For example, one brother qualifies, you will see entire family qualified. It's not that that family is very intelligent. No. One person will qualify, he will decode the exam and he will share all his notes and what are the positives and what are the challenges and not all mistakes you don't need to do, and everyone will qualify, fall in line. So exam ko understand karna. I see so many students, medicine graduate, chartered accountants, IITians, engineers, to count in itne class mein hote hain. Medicine graduates, political science for that matter, law, psychology, fisheries, biotechnology, itne student hote hain. What is important, first you understand that if I am studying a textbook, for example, you like international relations and there is a book, do you think that there are 4 questions would be current in nature? So do you, for GS, do you need a standard textbook to be studied? So even if you know too much, there is hardly a space of 250 words. There is hardly a space of 250 words. So this one point, that what is to be studied and what is not to be studied, because the UPSC has such an interesting canvas of subjects that as a human you will be completely mesmerized. Okay, who doesn't want to know about polity? Who doesn't want to know about modern history? Who doesn't want to know about geography? Who doesn't want to know about economy? Who doesn't want to know about culture? So you will enjoy it a lot. But while enjoying, you must know that where is the stop. So if I am giving 10 days to a particular subject, whether it is productive enough that it has the weightage in the examination, I'll give you a reason. For example, there's a student who says that I love history, so I will take history as an optional. So most of the people that you talk to would say modern history is my favorite, but I don't like medieval and ancient. So in the UPSC, out of 500 marks, 125 marks is modern, rest is ancient, medieval, world and maps and all. So a person who loves history and takes history as an optional is just 25 marks, 25% of the syllabus, while 75% he doesn't. So for example, anthropology, many people say, so no, there is an element of biotechnology and DNA, Mendel's law and genetics and all, 50 marks. So even if you like 450 marks, you don't like 50 marks, there are ample of literature available which you can easily overcome that small domain. So you must, ye cheeze, there is a thing that devil lies in detail. So you sit down with the syllabus, go through the syllabus, what extent of the syllabus you are familiar with, what is, then you will be able, rather than somebody said that isko to bachpan se history pasand hai, bhai bachpan se pasand hai, to he likes modern history has 25% weightage, what about 75% weightage he doesn't like? He doesn't like anthropology, but he likes tribal issues in India, which is one paper. Anthropology, maybe he doesn't like genetics, but the rest, which can be overcome. All these calculations have to be done. Because एक चीज है, scholars are everywhere. Most of the time, I see students who are qualifying from the class have one commonality. That is, they first of all, they decode the demand of the examination. That because this is such an enticing thing that who as a human being we are inquisitive by nature, so you will be, so this you need to understand. So you have syllabus, NCERT, one standard textbook you have to cover, because you need to have a very thorough understanding of the constitution, broad aspects of it. And see, I in the class I teach only the principal source that we rely, you can ask, thousands of students are there, we teach from the constitution. Open the app of the because whatever written in any textbook is a secondary source, constitution is the primary source. We always keep opening constitution open in the class, and we always do it from the constitution. So one app I would recommend, constitution app. Either you download an app, all the apps would have same articles and all those things, or you get a hard copy of the constitution, not the small pocket one, but a relatively volume big one. I bought when I was in student year more than 14 years back. I bought a small one. The small one is very tedious to read because of small letters. Thoda bada constitution, or you can do it from the app. I have an app. Any app is equally good. Okay, so all the apps will have the same constitution, so I would strongly recommend that you should have an app. Ab if you see ek or few things that I need to share, ki most of the time the subjects that you don't like, okay, the subjects that you, for example, somebody doesn't like science and technology and geography and ancient history. So if you leave that subject and you are very good, so your denominator is only 60. Other person is competing in 100, because 30 marks to you have, 40 marks to you have already left. So what is important is, I see so many students very good in history. Or no, you should be good in or average in all the subjects rather than being good. So if you or me, anybody doesn't like physical geography, ancient history, or for that matter environment, or for that matter science and technology, it is your problem. It is not the problem of UPSC. So what is important, that you should go through all the subjects should be given due diligence. Some students who like some subjects, they are deeply engrossed in the same, while they don't like to open science and technology, physical geography, ancient. No, overcome those subjects which have not invited your interest. That is something here. One thing which I see, I'm speaking of most of the mistakes which I witness in the class, students making those mistakes, that some of them are very interested in few subjects and they are only aligned with them. No, you have to give due diligence to the entire syllabus. That is something which is important. So previous year's question paper also is of paramount importance. Most of the static topics are repeating from the same. If you have any question, you can ask.
GS Paper 1 decides the fate of every UPSC aspirant in the prelims. To clear it, you need more than hard work. You need clarity, coverage, and smart revision. That's why we bring you Fasttrack Course 2026. Meticulously designed to build a firm command over general study subjects, the foundation for prelim success. This dynamic program is tailored for aspirants who want accelerated learning, efficient revision, and absolute conceptual clarity. Here's what it includes: complete coverage of GS prelim subject, PT 365 current affairs classes, comprehensive and updated digital study material, personalized student portal with live plus online classes, sectional mini test for performance tracking, dedicated mentorship for guidance and maximization, with structured planning, efficient time utilization, and focused mentorship. Fasttrack Course 2026 transforms preparation into confidence and confidence into success. Enroll for the Fasttrack Course 2026 starting 13th October 2 p.m. Your fastest route to mastering GS Paper 1 and clearing UPSC prelims with confidence. To know more or register, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.
Any question? Okay. See, I'll tell you, today morning also a student came, sir, should I read Subhash Kashyap? Should I read D.D. Basu? Should I read M.P. Jain? Should I read any other book, H.M. Sirvai's Constitutional Law? See, for GS stage of the examination, even if you know too much, the academic liberty to write is very less. Either you have to express yourself in 125 words or 250 words. You only say you will be left with very little literature if you do for 250 words. So I would not recommend the standard textbook, but yes, I say that there are few topics which are conceptual in nature, which UPSC is repeating since 70 years. For example, Article 21, that is procedure established by law. They also ask due process of law. So preamble के justice और आर्टिकल 19, आर्टिकल 21 जुडिशियल रिव्यू, ठीक है. कुछ टॉपिक्स और फेडरलिज्म के कुछ टॉपिक्स यू कैन डू फ्रॉम अ स्टैंडर्ड टेक्स्ट बुक, क्योंकि कंसेप्चुअल क्वेश्चन विच यूपीएससी इज आस्किंग always they are asking from the same key areas: liberty, secularism. So you can do preamble from any standard textbook. Article 14, equality before law and equal protection of laws. Article 19, 1A, freedom of speech and expression. 21, right to life. And 25, secularism. These 4 articles you can do from a standard textbook. Post that DPSP and all EC, Office of President and Vice President, then you have Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, Parliament, usme bhi nahi. If you go ahead, judicial review is one such topic you can do from the standard. So 3-4 topics you can do, which will, because if they are asking conceptual questions, most of the time they have asked conceptual questions from these topics only. This you can do. Otherwise, I would personally not recommend you to cover Subhash Kashyap or DD Basu. It may give you an edge if you're having law as an optional. Then also, even law as an optional, the weightage of constitutional law is very less. The weightage of, because these books predominantly deal with constitutional law, but I'm sure you know that. If you don't know, let me tell you, there are 30 pages in law, papers in law. In our law in Delhi University, only 2 papers were of constitutional law. That too hardly 10 to 15 articles. Constitutional law 1 and constitutional law 2. Otherwise, you have Indian Evidence Act, Indian Contract Act, you have United Nations Convention on Law of Seas, Law of Torts, getting my point. Then you have Crime 1, then you have Family Law, then you have what you call arbitration and conciliation. Then you have professional ethics, then you have companies law. So many laws are there. The constitutional law was only so very so in law also, if you, so these books predominantly deal with constitution. In UPSC they are not concerned with Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam. Broadly you can see what is BNS, why it is BNSS, what is Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam, why we shifted from IPC, CRPC and what you call Indian Evidence Act, that you can find in August 2023 Current Affairs of Vision IS. You can find, you can download from the resources. Okay, so in laws, Indian Evidence Act हो गया, contract हो गया, tort हो गया, United Nations Convention on Law of Seas हो गया, Indian Penal Code हो गया, भारतीय न्याय संहिता हो गया, Evidence Act हो गया. ये UPSC में ये सब ने, हाँ, there are certain laws which will be covered in the class, जैसे पंचायत extension to scheduled areas act, Forest Rights Act, right to free and compulsory education act, right of fair compensation, rehabilitation and resettlement and transparency in land acquisition act. So some laws, Food Security Act, you have महात्मा गांधी नेशनल रूरल एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी एक्ट. जो एक्ट इंपॉर्टेंट है वो हम कवर करेंगे. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट. सो दिस इज समथिंग विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू पॉलिटी. एंड वन मोर थिंग, that when you see the impact aspect of it is something which is important. See, if there will be 14-16 questions in prelims, 5 questions would be directly from Lakshmikanth. Okay, now let me tell you, if 5 questions, Lakshmikanth is a wonderful book. To have a base, it's a wonderful book. Okay, that is doing justice. But beyond that, 4-5 questions everyone will do. You don't understand that if you are able to do 4-5 questions that have come from a book, every book that you will pick for polity, 4-5, so there is no question or race about doing 4-5 questions, because all the students who are little bit serious also will get those 4-5 questions correct. The actual competition, why you come to the class or why do you study hard, is to do next 9 questions, maximum out of next 9 questions as correct. So knowing few questions doesn't mean that you will, everyone knows them. What is the full, the UPSC asked the question, what is the full form of Niti Aayog? Who takes a decision under the 10th schedule? What is Office of Profit? How many spokes are there in Indian flag? This question was asked in 2010. So basic questions that what you call, what are the reasonable restrictions of freedom of speech and expression? Right to privacy is covered under which article? Everyone knows right to life. But the challenge comes to next 7 questions which are not conventionally located in the prominent textbooks that are usually recommended. And the concepts that lay behind the same, like due process of law, which was asked by UPSC. So what is important, that one, have a solid foundation from one of the principal textbooks, first NCERT, then you can choose either of the two. Visualized material definitely caters to the main stage of the examination. Okay, after that you develop your concept, okay, which we do in the class, whatever possible to the best of our ability. Okay, so please. Okay. PT3. See, if you have gone through monthly current affairs, by and large it is the same. By and large it is the same without a shadow of doubt. Okay. Gradually you can see last may we add something. Otherwise it is by and large it is the same. It is already PT, monthly current affairs is already voluminous in nature. Getting my point. Any other question?
free, but on the same portion we can cover ecology or geography, which have enormous
Yeah,
weightage.
this is a very, very pertinent question. It is always remember. I don't want to say, but one of the matlab, qualified student, a very said ki for a particular subject, I was not very much interested. I attended all the classes, but this particular, I thought that what you call disproportionate time should not be given. One thing is very important. Whenever you are studying anything, you must know whether what is the outcome. For example, you are studying a voluminous textbook. So voluminous textbook you are studying, after studying the textbook, if they ask only one question, so the time that you have given is disproportionate. So places you can switch that for notes. On paper, people would not admit this, but most of the people who are qualifying, actually many of them, standard textbook ki jagah, kai jagah they replace it with notes because they don't want to waste time. And how many places they study NCERT, that is oxygen, okay, but at places they do, because it is not about being being too knowledgeable or too informed, but it is about being too smart to address the demand of the examination. Any other question you have? Okay. So we had, I think, a discussion. So with respect to polity, these are the things that you need to do, and especially I would, at the what you were wrapping up the conversation, I would specifically ask you to go through the syllabus and previous year's answer scripts of the toppers along with the previous year's question paper. These are the three things that will give you an insight into the mind of UPSC. Now we have another faculty who would come and he will be having the last leg of the session. Okay, thank you.